And we should be live. Hello everyone. Hello. Today we will be talking about the new semester units from the Part 1 banner that is currently out until next Friday, I believe, something like that. And it's just 4 units plus the 2 ARs that came out during the spring campaign. We'll be starting off with the ARs. Joining me today is Erbie.
Hello.
You can find his channel in the description, and then there is also Milk Housamo.
Hello.
You can sense the enthusiasm bubbling from the surface there. Obviously because these units are all quite amazing. But yeah, let us just go straight to the first AR. Let me just read the comments quickly. Hey Gail, nice seeing you on time. The fact that there's no one option. Erbie, shut up. I'm here for the no one supremacy. For those listening on playback, there's a poll that's not showing of which unit people like. And hello Joe and Lulu and Jello. Let's begin. And of course Prisma. Hello. We'll be starting off with the Kurogane Tashita AR that released during the spring campaign. It's still out in the shop right now. You can redeem all copies from it, so that's very neat. And what this AR does, let me just pull out my notes. No, that's my notes. So, what this AR does is, holy shit. It is a banner, it is a card that increases the amount of AR tokens received when you complete the quest by 10%, so very important there. As well as it progressively gives you more CP to the unit that is equipping it, up to a maximum of 20 CP per turn by turns 10 and above. Now, for this AR, I would recommend you bring this in dungeons if you have no one else to level, because if you're not bringing a mentor, then you might as well maximize the other resource that is the AR tokens. And it would work for any dungeon, not just the EXP dungeons, but also the coin dungeons drop AR tokens and the C dungeons drop them. So I would equip this on Dead 5 if you still want that EXP for some reason, but it's just use Treatment 3 was the Kool-Aid AR if you can instead. Or Sonda U3 if you don't have a Dead 5. So this AR is actually quite good to bring for yourself too. And incidentally, it's actually quite strong on Dead 5 as a unit that is someone you'll be taking in dungeons if you happen to own them. Because his charge is strong, but he has no ways of building it up. Getting magic range charm, I believe, to everyone, and since dungeons is something you can always stall until the next phase, you'll always have your charge ready and be able to just quickly clear the next phase whenever it comes by. I find myself stalling a lot as a result of it, and just having a lot more consistent clears. You can also bring this in any tall map, a grindable quest, because you tend to bring units that are in shot range to clear columns. So this could include the coin quest or one of the grinding quests like the Mahakala Sea quest, just any tall map to be honest, because the important thing here isn't the charge, but this AR is the first freebie AR we have that gives us 1000 attack when it's fully maxed, so it's essentially just the full attack seating instantly. Of course, still just restricted to shot and snipe units, or rather shot and thrust. But yeah, I'd say it's quite strong just for the attack effect. So remember this AR just for the attack, honestly. There is no other AR like that so far. And I would also recommend this for units with strong charges that are more stall-based. So normally, if you have a kind of charge setup, you'd like to blow everyone up as consistently as possible. However, the inconsistency is built into this AR in terms of being only at a maximum of 80%. So I would say you'd only really want to spam your charge with this AR if it's like a unit that is intended to be lasting for several turns in the first place. And that would include units such as Kan and Tangaroa, which with the Itsam setup you could just keep on stalling in place and defending yourself, and it doesn't matter if you don't get 20 CP that turn, as long as you're getting it over several turns, you'll get your all-range double blind there. There's also Akiha Gangen, which he has a pretty strong all-range charge to as well. And Aizen 5 is a tanky unit as well as Kimun Kamui. You can also equip it for the same reason. Although they're not particularly big range, but I believe Kimun Kami's has the nice effect of being able to deplete like 10k HP if he misses right after. Is that right, Milk? Milk? Yo, Milk, you there?
10k, yeah. Yeah, it's in his thrust range.
Yeah, so I think...
So usually I use the combo AR on him, though.
Yeah, the combo AR works too. I just think, it'll be faster for him to get his charge more often. It'd be better, I'd say. Since, as a tank unit, it's kind of uncertain when exactly he'll have enough charge. But just bringing it faster in general, even if it's not consistent, is what this AR does best. And I would also suggest equipping this on, any other unit that struggles to get their charge. There is a neat synergy you could do with this AR as well as the Funfumi Leaked AR that inflicts inflicts charge lock to your own unit. If you are stalling with a unit who has that equipped, the Funfumi Leaked AR directly behind the unit that has this, then you can build up to 100 CP without actually charging, which would be quite good for units such as Shinya 4, who has a higher rate of charm if he has his CP at a higher rate, or Temujin, who can give crit at 2 square diamond rage as long as he has 100 CP. He usually blows it up away and loses that ability to give crit, but if you're just preventing him from charging with that Funfumi Leaked AR, it'll be good. And also Temujin only has acceleration on Tvastar at a 60% rate to build his charge, so this AR would help a lot with getting this charge to 100 CP. And of course, you can also use this AR for 10k attack bragging rights, so very important. But if you equip this on pretty much just a Fashionista Wakan Tanka, who is red texted, that is both attack seeded and attack blossomed, then you can reach 1000 attack, so or 10,000 attack, which is not really precedented yet by anyone, but consider that. Those are all my thoughts for this AR. Any other
No thoughts, head empty.
My thoughts is that it's making my dungeon run slower, so I should move it to the sub slot.
Does it actually?
Yeah, because I don't really care about that getting a CS. Because I have my unit I'm leveling in the leader slot. That's relatively easy. So,
yeah, I feel like it's easier to just put it on Sendayu on the sub slot with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's good in long-term battles, like dungeons where they just give you free turns, just because there's 10 phases. But yeah, I don't really like this 80% rate and waiting to get 20 CP. But I think it's good to have a welfare option of an AR that gives CP on turn or phase start, because I don't think there's really too many that do that. I'm kind of grouping this within the group of the Shiro AR and the Sun and Oil AR. So yeah.
I mean, those ones give to allies. This one is to self, but I kind of see what you mean.
Yeah.
There's also
it's turn start, so yeah.
There's the Snow Claude one, Bright Claude, which gives CP every turn, I believe, to the unit in front.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, right. The other thing that I wanted to say was that since it's turn start, this negates fear effects. Not the movement, but the CP reduction. Because usually you get denied CS due to the CP reduction being close to the beginning of your turn, but this just supplies it back, so you can potentially avoid fear.
Yeah, so it was a bit unfortunate in how, at least with me, I swapped out my dead with the Fear Immediately AR to this AR instead, since he was Fear Immediately. But as Milk said, he can still get his charge up fairly fine because of the CP being given. There's a nice compensation there.
Well, you have to wait a few turns, but yeah.
Yeah. Erbie.
I don't know. I'm just happy. I'm just happy that my fully seated dead has found use in support again, because if people aren't farming for experience, they are farming for AR tokens, and yeah, he's definitely the best unit to bring if you're farming AR tokens for dungeons. Because not only will you get the experience, you'll also get the additional AR tokens, so that's kind of nice if you want to sort of double dip but don't need so much experience.
Yeah,
Actually,
it kind of reminds me of Anvari with the Guildmaster AR. So it's like,
Actu-
sorry, go ahead.
Actually, I kind of like did a dungeon and I thought, wow, this AR drop rate is shit. Like, it's really awful. So I was wondering, like, does this actually really help? Because I'm only getting like 1 or 3.
If you want to see immediately what it does, if you go to the treasure room and you compare what you get with the ARs versus without, I think there's a difference, honestly. It does seem a bit more consistent.
Yeah, I think treasure room is like way more, but like in actual dungeon runs, it's like really small.
It's probably just small splitting with
The
this
ones
thing.
that are
You
not
probably
there.
just you probably just get a gain of 1 AR token from what I've seen. But I haven't actually made the comparison.
This is tragic. They should stop making all these welfare ARs.
Why? They're nice. Although
They're
honestly,
all
I'm
actually-
annoyed about trying to level them to 100 with tokens.
I mean, this one at least lets us level up things with tokens faster. So thank God for more AR token. Everyone needed that, obviously. It's kind of mean,
I
but
I feel like we've gotten
like-
like 10 welfare ARs in the past year, which is like annoying.
At least they're starting to reprint old ones, so maybe they won't start. Maybe they will stop making new ones. Hopefully, at some point.
Did they reprint
I mean, they'll eventually release the Blossom Booster or whatever it is, and I don't know what else next they'll release, but you know, it's fun.
I mean, I feel like Blossom Booster one is would be kind of a waste. That's it.
Oh, Blossom Booster would be really annoying if it makes me have to change my team again.
Not only that, but I feel like it wouldn't be worth it at all.
Yeah, because it's just like that one
Okay,
lesser Blossom.
I'm not saying it'll come out next because there's only the lesser Blossom right now, but I feel like it'll be inevitable whenever it does come out. Yeah, I don't know what other resource they could actually increase next. Oh, wait, never mind. There's one other resource they can increase right now, and it's coin. Not increasing the amount of coin you get, but increasing the chance of coin. So that's an AR that I'd look forward to.
I'd rather have like increase FP AR again.
Yeah,
But like
cool too.
works on support. But yeah, I don't know.
That's the Guildmaster one, but yeah.
Increase skill gem drop rate, please.
That
Wait,
would
the
be
Guild
nice.
Masters increases FP.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It's like the only one that increases two things at once. It's the increases rank EXP as well as the FP.
Oh
But,
damn.
well, I guess
I
there's
could
a
use that
Maniac
more.
one, but that's not in support. So yeah, definitely I would recommend using the Nomad, Christmas Nomad with that AR for grinding things like skill training. Anyways, big digression here. Let's actually talk about this card, and I'm gonna go ahead and read the comments. I think we've run out of topics of this. Let us see. Hello, Edwin. Thank you for the 249 peso, or the 249 bits, or whatever it is. Don't know the translation rate, but thank you very much. New semester, let's go! Although, I don't know how to feel about this batch. It's okay, we will let you know how you should feel. Just kidding. You should still think about it, even if you give our opinion. Finally, I get to watch Ara stream after an answer reminder. Christ, Uga. Yeah, it's... today we are doing it on Saturday for various reasons. I'll get to it later. There's a comment asking where's Algus, so I'll get to it then. Is Dead 5 the hardest hitting unit with Mentor? I would say he has like a strong effect that lets him clear quickly, but the hardest hitter I would say that is consistent and hard hitting would be, in my opinion, Kruzenik, since he actually is able to, without needing to roll a 40% chance for crit, be able to eliminate his column in like 1 or 2 hits. But with that himself, if you're getting that HP suck going off, then he should be able to clear his column too.
To be fair, you can only do that twice per phase.
It's a feature, because if you don't kill them, then you can stall for the rest of the turns with them, which I do regularly.
It's a feature. Wow.
The hardest hitting is a Varga because he's blow. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it
yeah,
has
that's
break on CS.
Well, I only pretty much use them just for one, taking the hits on first turn to determine res aggro, and 2 for eliminating the boss in the phase 10. But yeah, Varga is pretty important. But in terms of like eliminating the most units, I would say it would be Krisnik. Tickets are OP, can confirm. OMG Milk Sensei voice. Yeah, he visits every now and then. You should do voiceovers on your own channel sometime. OMG me. I'm that unicorn with the max fashion con. Alright, enjoy this AR then for your 10k attack. Also, no Zalgus, did he go find Chino? What? No. So the reason why he couldn't make it is because it's Saturday, and he has work on Saturday. He actually, ironically enough, he for his work, he said he just wanted Sundays off, so I feel a bit bad that he specifically kept that day off for these streams. But yeah, it happened to be Saturday at 12 p.m. because Erbie has a thing later that he needs to attend to, which we need to speed up the time in order so he doesn't miss it in a couple hours later for Final Fantasy XIV. But also Saturday because I made plans tomorrow with some real life friends. The attack increase was huge. Yeah, everyone enjoy it. It's great. 1000 is no joke. Agreed with 80%. Does this AR work in support slot? Yes, it does. Any 5-star AR that's in the shop always works in support, so far anyways. As a competitive Pokemon player, everything that is below 100% accuracy will always miss. This is why I don't use Shuten. Share, not Aro, but yes. I have over 3k tokens for ARs because I always get one dupe. I guess. I don't understand that. Base 3-2. I rarely ever level my ARs because I just never remember to feel lazy because it takes too long. First I sped up the animation whenever they level them. Yeah, they did update the user interface lately so you could give more boosts even quicker if you're doing it manually for some reason, but AR token leveling is still very slavish. Making my lunch while listening to the latest hot takes. Oh yeah, enjoy. Okay, enough about that. That definitely took too long for an AR. Let's move on to the next topic, which will be covered by Milk.
Yes.
I will just
Milk
switch that over
okay.
right now.
Okay. I'm gonna just trust that it's up because I just have chat open. But yeah. So this is the Zhao Shuten AR. I don't know if you can still get it, but this was what was available during that 3-week-long drought, whatever, for dungeon translations. Anyways, it's a pretty straightforward AR. First of all, you get Gut Strengthening when appearing, and Gut Strengthening gives you 8 CP per turn whenever you have Guts up. So I think this effect is pretty good because it's basically free acceleration for units who have Guts. And the second effect is 8 CP to self and allies 1 square around self, and 80% rate if your unit is stationary. What stationary means in this context is that you don't get moved, your unit doesn't get moved or shuffled around by any other teammate. So yeah, this is to distinguish from after not moving in the wiki, in the sense that after not moving means that you don't get picked by the player to like finger. So stationary is basically the one where you can't move at all, like Xmas Benton. Okay, so what do I think about this AR? I think it's kind of strong-ish. It's just that I don't really see it like being like a must pick. But I think the free CP to self and allies and the free CP from Gut Strengthening is pretty good. So that's pretty much all my thoughts on it. I don't really like the stationary timing because, as anybody who's used Xmas Benton before knows, it's a pretty annoying timing to work around with. So I just try to focus on the Gut Strengthening aspect of it. I thought of some units that would like a faster CP disposal rate. I think the options are actually rather weird or somewhat unpopular. I think Xmas Yasuyori would be good.
Does they have
Yama...
guts?
Yeah, they have guts, I think.
I almost forgot it's completely except magic range charge.
Yeah, they have guts. Yamasachi Hiko would be good because his CP rate is kind of low. Ideally, you would have Tetsu Wakan on the wood units, but yeah. Summer Jugo kind of wants his CS faster because it's a pretty good CS, I think. I don't really see anybody using Summer Jugo too much though, so that's a
It's
shame.
not bad, it's just, there are better choices generally.
Yeah, and of course there's a Jamboree Kagutsuchi,
There
where
it is.
Gut Strengthening is a free buff, so he actually gets CP when appearing due to this AR. Otherwise, I would just slap it on anybody who you want want them to CS more, and ideally it would be somebody who doesn't have to move. So like I could say somebody like Pollux would be a good choice because of like having more CP, but you want to move Pollux. So yeah, but he would get the Gut Strengthening CP. So
And
you
it's,
just have to.
his charge is okay, right?
Damn, you
Christmas
stole
bonuses.
the Pollux card. I was going to talk about Pollux. It's over.
Oh wait,
It's
never
over.
mind.
Oh.
The Christmas box is
Oh,
he can't equip this.
Oh, you're thinking
What?
of Christmas Pollux? No, we only think about regular Pollux here.
Stop.
No, yeah, we were talking about regular Pollux.
Yeah,
Uh.
because he gets evasion CS, so you want to get that up as quick as possible. So yeah, Wood Ether are the restrictions. So that's a pretty wide choice of people to put it on. But yeah, if you just want more CP, just put it on your Wood Ether unit. And it's a pretty good welfare option.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add on this. I actually said Jamboree Kagutsuchi in my notes too. But Zhao himself would actually be a good choice because he doesn't need to move in either of his cards, and he does give guts as well as has it on himself. And his charge is, worth building for because it's just even more guts to it. And he doesn't already have the CP functionality, unfortunately, but if he's gonna be, actually his regular does, which is how he gets his charge, but yeah, he doesn't need to move in any capacity, so I'd say it's a good fit for him.
Yeah, Zhao 4 is really good with his CS up as much as possible due to giving guts to everybody. I think I used that in the double Daikoku combo strategy. Did you use that as well? I forgot.
I did do the double Daikoku strategy with him as well because it might have been 5-star Zhao or 4-star, but probably 4-star because his range is not awkward. It's like 5 stars
Yeah,
is cross range for some stupid reason, so it only works with 4 stars though.
Yeah, 4-star Zhao is somewhat of a funny underdog pick in my opinion, but yeah. So yeah, not much to say about this AR.
Yeah, honestly, if I
I don't
talked
have
about
anything
it,
to add.
if I talked about it, I probably wouldn't say anything, which is why I gave it to you. I vaguely remembered you had some thoughts before, when we first saw this AR. So no additional thoughts.
Yeah.
No additional thoughts. And, I mean, there's a lot of units that can benefit from this. Even if you really want to use, you can even use Beach and Vari with this because he also has guts and he also applies stigma, which helps him deal more damage. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just free CP for units that have guts.
You guys
But
are.
he does need to move, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't have a lot of.
I don't
ideas.
see how you guys are like, yeah, this AR is pretty good in general use. But then in the previous one, you're like, yeah, this AR is kind of, bad and not useful. And it's like, what?
Well, because in general use, you want to like clear stuff as quick as possible. So yeah.
Yeah, and that
You don't
was
really-
a general use AR, so we're going to use it a lot.
Yeah.
It's still a CP AR. Quick clears generally you just go for damage buffs rather than CP, unless you're doing all range stuff for large maps. But even then, there's better options than this at this point for all range.
Alright, I should mention something is that if you have both effects together, that's plus 16 CP, and that's actually pretty sizable because that's kind of comparable to like that Snow Eisen Surtur like CP moving thing. So if you get this AR is kind of like just applying the CP portion of that. So that's why I think it's just good for general use is that you get that CP effect from that Trinity for free, basically.
If they don't move.
And if you have guts, but yeah. Okay.
I mean, on average, you get 16 CP at 10 turn over with the other one, but well, it's just me, I guess. What is just me? You can read out the comments then. Good.
Where did we leave off?
That is a good question.
Making my lunch, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I just buy one AR. Good CP AR. Pog AR because I love to abuse guts. Abuse guts. Yeah, I don't know. Who abuses guts in Wood Ether? I don't really know. Good day, everyone. Hello.
Yes, yeah.
Lurk Cho. Xmas Yasuyori, you say? Eye emoji. Valentine's Eat Zomno? No, because you want to move him a lot, and Valentine's Eat Zomno doesn't give guts. Or doesn't have guts. There's also Xmas Choji. I don't think Xmas Choji has guts. But he does get CP a lot. His CS is OPPPP. Yeah, his Xmas Choji CS is really good if you get him SALV 100. So good luck with that. No Chernobog in the AR art. Minus 1000 over 10. Did he appear in Gendarm? I guess he did. I don't know. There's no way
he appears and disappears. It's kind of like that meme. The girl appearing and disappearing.
Labe 5-star has guts and does not need to move. Labe 5-star is not happening until he gets a Skivo. Yeah. True, but that would mean using Labe 5. Exactly. I managed to get it early. Hi.
I think both Garrett
OMG,
and
hi, Oomphy.
yeah, hello, Garrett and Miko.
The crying Jamba emoji. Oomphy. Oh ye, the promise. Hi, Oomphy. Is there a Shuten with guts? Yeah, regular Shuten has guts, I think.
Don't use this for Shuten, he moves. Both Shutens move.
Regular Shuten... Yeah, they move. It's just that Shuten's CS is kind of good in the sense that he has Excavator, so you can actually get crit on his CS as well. So yeah. Otherwise, there's not really a point in charging his CS unless you really love that low
the tragedy that is
level
Shuten.
curse.
You really need another set of Evos.
I think King of the Four Heavens is pretty good though, or whatever that is. Four Heavenly Kings.
It's like
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't know. It's okay. It's not even guaranteed for the attack buff, I'm pretty sure. And it's only for the first 2 turns.
Z's uses this AR well too. Yeah, because she has guts and she has what is it? She has sacrifice, I think. So yeah, you want her to give CP a lot. No, Shuten needs guts from someone else that has movement skill. Does he really not have guts? I thought he did.
I don't remember him.
Because he's like a mountain man, right?
Shuten should have guts. I think he does.
I looked it up and I was like, for some reason I was like, no, don't use Shuten, but let me check. But yeah, keep on reading the console.
No, he
I feel
doesn't.
like he should have guts.
He doesn't have.
There you go. No guts on his regular, and no guts on his variant. Don't use Shuten.
Well, I didn't have Shuten in my notes anyway, so yeah. Okay, neither Shuten have guts in their base kits. Okay, interesting. Yeah, he was probably in the mountain event because he had Excavator, not because of Mountain Man. Okay, whatever. Does Horus give guts? Yes, Horus does give guts. Shuten is the real clown in this AR. I mean, like, compared to the rest of this banner, so... like...
Oh. We'll get to that,
I mean,
yeah.
He can't actually be the clown, but we still have the clowns to talk about after.
I thought Shuten had Mountain Dweller, but I'm surprised he doesn't. Yeah, I'm surprised too. I remember that Seth 4-star gives guts. Is that like in his like Skivo that I like promptly deleted from my mind? I don't know. Yes, Horus gives guts, also Tada and Tvastar. Okay. B Andy. Shuten phobic. Okay. That's it, I think.
Alright, let's move on to the clowns. I mean, the transients of the actual banner. We will be starting off with Enigma. So this will be handled by Erbie. Yes.
Yeah, it is I. Alright. Enigma has a very enigmatic kit, which isn't enigmatic at all. It's very straightforward. Basically, he just every turn start, he has an 80% chance to copy all buffs from allies directly next to him. I'll only be talking about 4-star, but 3-star is almost practically the same. It's just different rates and doesn't have a few things, but as usual. But yeah, I'm just going to start talking about the 4-star. So basically, he has that. He's going to copying all buffs from allies directly adjacent to him. But the catch is that he's immune to almost all common and even uncommon buffs like crit plus and stuff like that. So he won't be able to copy almost any attack buffs. And attack buffs is probably going to be able to copy stuff like infinitude stackable and stuff like that. And good luck with that. That is it's not really worth it. So based on this, he's supposed to be primarily a defensive unit that is supposed to be at the front line to protect his allies, because he also has protection to allies in long/range behind him. But it's only at 50%, which is a bit of a shame. But if you add up the fact that he's going to be copying all buffs from his allies, I mean, there's a pretty high chance that his allies are going to have glint or concentration. I mean, a lot of that stuff can happen. At phase start, he's going to give guts to allies all around him and defense up to allies all around him, which means that if these allies are directly adjacent to him, he will also get these buffs, which is sure it does make him a bit more tanky, and he also does have Mecha Man that has a 60% chance to give him tenacity, so he's actually quite sort of resistant to damage. It is a shame that his HP pool is very low though, so he won't be able to take a lot of hits, but there is another part of his kit that helps him survive a bit more, which is he applies darkness, which further decreases the enemy damage output. So that's already 3 forms of damage mitigation that he has for himself and his allies if all of them proc. So that's actually pretty nice. And now that I've talked about the things that are pretty nice, I can sort of talk about the things that are not pretty nice, which is the fact that he is slash range, and being immune to attack buffs is actually a very severe limitation that he has. He does apply obstruct and darkness, and he does deal extra damage against these, but it's only a ×2 multiplier, so that's not even a full common attack buff multiplier for these. So he's not going to be dealing a lot of damage. There is a good part of this as well, I suppose, which is that since he's able to copy all buffs, you'll be able to copy literally all buffs that aren't irremovable. So you can copy weapon changes and CS weapon changes and all prayers and stuff like that. You'll be able to copy all these buffs, and he can essentially be an all-range unit if you want. If you want to do that. The problem is that you don't have direct ways to further boost his damage unless you rely on irremovable attack buffs, like, for instance, Itzamna's attack boost based on his CP, or for instance, I don't know, one of those debuff strengthening, one of those burn weakening skills, for instance, from Christmas Dad, you can also increase the damage further with that. Unfortunately, since he has obstruct himself, he on his 4-star, he can't benefit from non-obstruct weakening from Fushi to get that sweet 4 times, but his 3-star doesn't apply it, so I guess you could try that, but it's not really worth it. He's primarily built for defense, and personally I think he should be used for such, even if he's not very good at it. He actually pairs up quite well with units like Halloween Alice because she had, with their new skill evolution, she can bestow the ability to be like the extra damage against debuffs, and he does already have 2 debuffs, so that's going to further help out in damage, as well as she applies one of her own, which does stack with this, and is also a damage mitigation, which is pretty nice. So you could try and do that pairing. The fact that he's nether also helps with that pairing because it means that he too can also equip the Dazzle Advantage AR with Alice. But let's be real, this is just trying to circumvent the fact that he's not meant to deal damage, and that is a shame because he's also not very good at defense either, in my opinion. Still, I think that there is some potential in the future, perhaps, for his copy all buffs. We don't know what kind of buffs LifeWonders will continue to implement. They've actually been adding a lot of new statuses recently, with these confusions and the reversals on Last Christmas. So who knows? Maybe there's going to be something really good that he'll be able to copy in the future. Copium, but but yeah. Also, there is a lot of things you can also kind of do. The fact that he can copy buffs from allies means that he can copy sort of rarer buffs on the rare side, as I already said, and you can pair them with units that also copy buffs from other units, or even use 2 Enigmas to copy buffs all around. But basically, he's a big main unit, but I think the easiest way that you can meme with him is just pair him up with Kalki, with the Sanat AR that immediately bestows him the weapon change all. That is the easiest way for him to get weapon change immediately on turn 1, and that is pretty nice. You'll be able to inflict darkness on everyone, and you'll immediately get the effect of the triple mitigation, assuming that Mecha Man will proc. But yeah, those are primarily my thoughts on him.
No, you took my point on the darkness and all rage. How could you do this to me?
I took your point. I already planned to do it.
Fine.
But you could have said it was the first time that you can do that in all range, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you can make anyone charge in first turn now with all the setups you have, but that usually requires all 4 units giving CP or some shit like that. With Enigma, you just require 2 units, the all range person as well as just Enigma himself. So if you need to like skill lock, not a charge lock everyone on turn 1, but you still want to have some extra units on top of that, Enigma might be a good choice in that case.
Alright, I didn't mention Mephistopheles because it's actually a terrible unit to pair him with, because that means he won't be able to get his copy all buffs on turns 3 and stuff like that, because of the contract thing. Never think that Mephistopheles is the answer for when you can't use the Anan, because it almost never is.
Yeah, I always question Mephisto uses, except if it's Countdown. He's a good Countdown meme. But yeah, there's not much to say about Enigma, sadly. You may, as a unit that shuffles all buffs together, we already know about the Kanon Tangaro and Itsama setup that requires 2 units to share buffs. You can also get the same effect going on if you have 2 units that copy buffs. But, you know, since no one's actually losing their buffs, so it might be less effective, but you can achieve this with a Christmas Eye Gear or a regular Oniwaka 5 with his Evo or another Enigma, if anything. So if you like buff refreshment, Enigma could somewhat achieve that without any damage buffs.
So I have a few things to say about Enigma, actually. So one thing about the Halloween Alice is that he can copy the magic weapon change. I don't know if you said that, but yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. The other thing is that I tried to like use him as a way to like, you know, be a contrarian and say he's like good. But after using him, I ran into a lot of issues. And the issues really are these proc rates. Basically almost like none of them are guaranteed except for like the obstruct part of his kit, which is stupid. He's immune to concentration, so you can't like buff his proc rate through that. You're basically only given the choice between Glint and Prayer. And what's really killer about this kit, like what's really awful, is how he gets defense up and guts on like in his first skill, in my opinion. Because what you have to do, right, is basically have him like start next to somebody, right? He gives like defense up and guts, and then he like copies it back to himself, and that's how he's supposed to like tank. But the problem is that if your map isn't like vertical or like a 4x3, like if it's wide, then there's going to be some RNG with how Enigma and the person starts, so that you can't actually like get defense up and guts on Enigma because like they start non-adjacently. The other part is that his copy all buffs is 80% and his defense up is also 80%. So I was I was 90.
Defense up is 90. Yeah. Skill C debate.
But it was just like very annoying to work with when I was trying to play around with him, because he would just like start, you know, diagonally across from somebody, and then he would not have any like tanking ability. His darkness is also 80%. So yeah, I was just extremely annoyed that this like supposed tank unit was like not very consistently tanking or copying the buffs that I wanted to give him. So yeah, this is why I don't really like Enigma, is that I feel like tank units should be very consistent. And I've brought it up before, but the closest comparison to Enigma, I think, is somebody like Marcosius or like Gangly. I don't really like the fact that I have to compare to like these super like 3+ old year kits. I don't know at this rate, but yeah.
I do think that the fact that he can get 3 forms of mitigation up for himself and his team is pretty nice, but yeah, the rates are pretty low, and there's that inconsistency at the first turn.
Yeah, like I thought like three forms of defense mitigation. Oh yeah, this is like Marcosius because he has like tenacity, curse, and protection at that like 66% fencer skill rate. But then like when I was actually trying out all of these like RNG stuff, like okay, you have to roll this 80% to like copy all buffs. Okay, you need to start non-diagonally. Okay, you need to like get Mecha Man, and then you need to like proc darkness. It was just like really frustrating in my opinion. So I don't really like using this unit.
Consistency
the last bit,
king, yeah.
Yeah, and the last bit is that you could also pair him with Tindalos to copy his evasion, because he has turn start evasion.
Yeah, I did think that.
Yeah.
That's only just as much as Team does, right? Every 2 turns, or every 2 of
Yeah.
3 turns.
Yeah, and they mutually hate each other or something. But yeah,
They
so you
actually
can
do.
use some
Interesting.
whatever thing. Yeah.
I wonder why. Maybe it's because he can sneak into him or something. I don't know. Yeah, I would say his defense abilities, as you guys are just saying, Milk especially, not the best case use for him, even though that seems to be what he is designed for. In my opinion, his most long-term immediate use that I can see is really just him copying all ranged weapon type, which it's a bit limited in the sense that you're copying it from someone else who already has it, so it's not like you're making it from nothing. But if there's ever a quest where it's like you want to darkness everyone, or if you need to hit an entire large board multiple times, because there are a few quests like that, like the Osei one from the what was it called, the Ryota dungeon, or was it the Kengo dungeon? I think it was the Kengo dungeon. You had to hit one of the Oseis and hitting them multiple times too. He could be useful then to just add a few extra hits. He's not immune to combo, so that works too. You could also equip on him the Kalki Hati AR if he has that weapon change, so that he gives CP behind him, or the Suzuka Tetsuak AR to activate evasion for himself, depending on if he rolls for it, and also the Guts Removal AR if you want to hit everyone with it. But again, it's a bit redundant since you already have a unit with all range weapon type at that point. Mostly useful for the darkness and for if you need to hit an entire board multiple times. Those are all my
thoughts.
Okay, so we're all done with this unit then?
If I had one last thought, you could pair him with people with rare defense buffs like Kathuga for Adamantine or whatever. But yeah.
The defense buffs he could personally benefit from would be protection, because he doesn't give that to himself, as well as Unshin and Adamantine. The rest of it, he's fine with securing on his own. Anyways, if that's it for this wonderful unit, then you can read out the comments, Erbie.
Oh right, you can. The way to fix Enigma Kit is to just use him with Valentine's Arc. There you go. The rates are fixed. The rates are Valentine Arc with Kuleve AR.
I'm not sure if I hate or like that I got Arc, because I really do want the lore for the current seed quests, but Arc is somewhat useful for testing shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you know where we last left off with the comments?
I have no idea.
I think it was Shuten phobic.
Shuten phobic. Oh right, here it is. Seth doesn't give guts. I don't remember Seth's kit, but I will believe you. Oh boy, it's him, the Yu-Gi-Oh card. I don't know. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh cards look better. You chose the biggest clown right away. Oh boy, here we go. Erbie, for how long were you waiting to do that enigmatic joke? I don't know, I feel like it's been done a lot by everyone already. Leonine phobic, like Christmas Ben 10. I feel like this is LifeWonders' way to make people not work with Leonine. It's just either give them all of Leonine's buffs or just make them immune to those buffs, like Wakan Tankan, Mugen, Christmas Ben 10, now Enigma. Yeah, that's how we're going to nerf Leonin without nerfing Leonin. Enigma clown emoji. That is very true. Also for Shuten Dao, I was thinking Kato with Shino for easy guts, but that's a lot of setup, I understand. Oh, right, this is still about the AR.
Yeah.
Don't look at Leonin, we turn to VR. Yeah, we need to get VR Leonin variant to work with Enigma. For such a small waistline, his kit is whack. Yes, it's
That's
small
why he has such a small HP
waistline
pool.
reflects his kit. What?
That's why he has such a small HP pool. He's malnourished.
Yeah, he needs to eat more to get more than 5.5k HP. Oh wow, a tank unit with 5k HP. Yeah, exactly. I've read jokes that his power strength can be improved by pairing him with Mephistopheles. No. I mean, yeah, it's going to help his damage, but
You know what I have to
also
say
give
to
him
that?
extra defense.
What I say to that is Mephistopheles gives it to him anyways. He doesn't have to steal it or copy it. So you might as well just be giving contract to some other unit that has better range and better innate damage. So it's like, why go through the hoops? When you're not even playing with Enigma's kit at that point, you're just doing Mephistopheles' kit on Enigma.
That Leonan, Enigma, and Meth meme. Enigma feels like a welfare unit. I don't know, we had better welfare units. I mean, Astaroth, we had the hero. I don't know, I feel like, even though I hate Yamasachi Hiko, I feel like he had a better kit too. But we'll see. In Enigma, again, God, the protection on long slash range is so silly to me. Like, I understand it could be nice for Wides where he's frontline and the other allies on the second row, but that also means he's not copying defense buffs. Yeah, that is true. That means you can only, if you actually have your team in that sort of formation and it's long slash or just slash range behind him, that means he's only going to copy from one person, which is the one that is directly behind him. Which is pretty sad. Okay, Enigma is a really weird unit. The fact he cannot gain attack buffs means he needs a different kind of team building. But if I make it any better, he can copy Mephisto's buffs and all weapons changes. He can't copy Mephisto's buffs. They are irremovable, so he can't do that. Pairing him with Mephistopheles shuts down his turn start buff copy with price of contract though. Nah, Jer Welfare stopped sucking a while ago. Like, Yule has nothing on Astaroth and Asti. Asti?
I don't understand either. Asterios.
Maybe it's Astaroth and Astarte. That's probably it. Oh my god, prayer copying. Its Samne is quaking. Oh my god. I'm waiting for my Dom Zad. I'm nervous and excited at the same time. You know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of that I Like Cats video that it was very, very hard. That was not hard. Old. About this girl just crying about cats on eHarmony or something. It was a very dumb meme. Probably one of the first ones I saw. Tried to test him a bit, and he kind of works well with Echo to debuff all enemies with these two debuffs, but yeah, it's kind of hard to use him. Yeah, Echo will also apply something I didn't mention, but yeah, it was kind of obvious too, is that, yeah, the best way to increase his damage output is through debuffs, since he can't benefit from buffs and from most attack buffs, that is. And all the others are pretty situational or uncommon. Honestly, out of everything about him, they give him such a debilitating effect of not getting practically almost any attack buffs. And think Mecha Man is a fine skill on him. I mean, yeah, it could have been better. Also, I don't know. I feel like Mecha Man isn't that bad of a skill as people make it out to be. Yeah, it's 60%. It's only tenacity, but I don't know.
Well, as Milk said, it's
They
not
made-
fun
they-
to
they
have
made- they made
a
auto-
tech ability that is not guaranteed.
They made Otohime work with it, so it's not like it's that. Not that it's very useful on her. Sure, it isn't, but yeah, the rest of her kit is still fine. So it's not Mecha Man that is ruining his kit. So,
Mecha Man is fine. I think it's just that, like, in combination with like everything else being like weirdly like 80%, 90%, it's like really infuriating to use him.
Just watch them give a skill-specific evo for Mecha Man specifically, and then it fixes all his problems. It's gonna happen, right? Copium.
they make it but only make it for the trooper mobs. Honestly, oh no, I already read this one. Like they couldn't have think about anything better. Lol. Honestly, I feel like this was told before on the server, and I also feel the same way. Is that I think they kind of nerfed his kit before they released him, because yeah, this feels like they kind of went overboard. They probably meant for him to not be immune to all these damage buffs when maybe they thought it was too strong, and then they kind of just added that in. I don't know. But it does sure feel like they wouldn't have released this if they didn't have a plan for it in the future. We'll see how it goes. Maybe part 2 will have some super rare buff that he can copy and make him.
God, I really
good.
hope part 2 makes up for this.
Yeah, this card isn't looking very well. 0 damage matter real. Yeah, he does. Even if you manage to go through all these hoops to make him deal more damage than he should be doing, he's still not going to be dealing a lot of damage. Actually, Harv tried Enigma with stackable Infinitude IRC. It was nice damage.
FYI, Erbie, there's a lot of
I feel like he was using something else, because it can't be just Infinitude. It's probably something else. Maybe it's just like the Kagutsuchi meme with Isamna.
They're obviously going to remove the Infinitude stackable eventually when they realize he's not immune to it, so forget that strategy. Pretend you never saw it.
Yeah, it's good. They're probably going to add it soon. I mean, it's a free stone. Might as well make a ticket for everyone to get a free stone. Not like everyone is going to take advantage.
The real reason why I got Enigma for the free stone.
Yes, thank you, Enigma.
But yeah, we have a lot of comments, so
can go meta reels.
Speed it up like a lot.
Oh, okay, sure. Enigma is not future-proofed if LifeWonders doesn't update his skills. A new buff can break him. Yeah. Darkness within darkness awaits you. Nah, they usually do update that, don't they? With defense buffs and rulers and stuff. So Enigma is nay for now. Yes, very super nay. Unless you really want to use him, to be honest, then go and see. But his kit kind of sucks. As long as you keep that in mind and don't try to delude yourself that he's good, then you're good. Wait, is the last skill of Enigma kind of mad? Poison resist only.
He didn't even talk about that. There's nothing to talk about.
That's kind of stupid. I didn't talk about it, but yeah, he's immune to poison reversal, but he's also immune to all poisons. So what is the point here? What is the point? If you're already immune to poison, why do you need immunity to poison reversal? I don't get it. But sure, let's go on. Anyway, can he get Halloween Isamna's attack buff? Halloween Azathoth's stackable attack buffs, do they count as the basic attack buff? He can't copy Halloween Azathoth's buff because it's irremovable. But he can still get Valentine Isamna's attack buff. What did this robot furry had done to deserve this? He existed. Well, at least he had 4 Makan guts. It has 4 more squares. Not only is he Lianan phobic, but he's also Shannon phobic. He can get any buff that is not listed in his first resist skill. Well, there's Bertro's stackable glint. If he copies them, his rates would get much better, plus occasional evasion, but you know that means using Bertro. No, he can't, because Bertro's stackable glint.
Yeah, I had a couple notes on that end. No, you can't use Nausea for stackable acceleration. No, you can't use Bertro for stackable thing. Stackable's buffs, for some reason, are irremovable, even though stackable freeze and stackable...
Except Infinitude, for some reason.
Yeah, Infinitude is fine.
Being immune not only to attack buffs, but also poison, do we finally have a unit that doesn't work with Lianan and Shannon? I mean, I feel like we've had a few recently. So that's a yes, then. Of course, he can have combo. It's technically a damage down. I mean, it's not a damage down. It's a damage increase, a 0.2 times or something like that.
It's 0.6.
If you count both hits.
Yeah, it'd be 1.2.
If you count both, yeah. Yeah. Enigma using 4-star Kuniyoshi plus Ben 10 dislike strengthening with 3-star Tindalos. Maybe I'll try that later. Sure. I don't recommend it though. He looks cute. Enigma. What?
Stop trying to buff Enigma. He's not gonna attack. He's not gonna do damage. Like LifeWonders is like trying to say like you can't offensively buff this dude. Just use
it's
him
like
as
people
a
trying
tank.
to use them that like we have a million other options for all range for like big damage in slash range. Just Enigma is specifically designed against that. Stop trying to make arc.
Yeah, he's only there to occasionally be a defense buffer. Tank thingy. Enigma more like Sigma malnutrition AI. Why not make him long / LifeWonders? I mean, why not make him literally any other range that isn't this or low range, really? This kind of reminds me of Shuckle. Lots of defense, pathetic health. High. I also thought that he would be OP unit before release. Now it's just a meat bag. He's not even a good meat bag. Pretty sure Housamo gonna make a chapter when Enigma becomes the boss and makes us regret not pulling him. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It just means that the enemy, Enigma, is strong, or something like that. Enigma. Hi, Zelgus.
Yo, Zelgus, nice to see you dropping by.
Enigma, more like Candice. At least he can be a wall for Turing yet. I hate pronouncing that.
Just say turn.
Tank Daddy Ooh. Well, there's always Fushi to boost his damage. No, he cannot boost Enigma's 4-star damage because he applies Obstruct. So you can't use Fushi. Unless you're using the 3-star. Sure, go ahead. Use the 3-star, even though it is worse. Oh, so you can't copy stackable buffs? That kind of sucks. Gazer, he actually has anti-synergy because he applies Obstruct himself, yeah. It's like one of the only things he has guaranteed on his kit. Yep. And that is all the comments.
Jesus Christ, that's all the comments. Thank you for the comments, but we are now 1 hour in. We need to hurry up because Erbie's gotta go before 2 hours. So let us just...
I still have 1 hour.
Yeah, I mean, we just finished the first unit, so maybe not a good sign. Alright, we are now going to be talking about Barong, which I have no idea how to pronounce his name. I'm just going to assume it's as simple as it seems. And let me just pull out his notes. Should be fairly straightforward. But yeah, Barong, as I'll read out his kit first, and then I will talk about my thoughts on him. So he is a unit that has risk-dependent rules. First off, he punishes any of his own personal activity, which entails either moving or attacking. He reduces his own HP. He also penalizes trying to dodge that risk. So if you don't move him at all, then he just turns into non-range for that turn and is not able to damage anyone as a result. He's an offensive support if you do decide to move him. He has limit to himself, as well as what's called crit to allies in front of him and Ardor post-move every second turn. And when he's really low HP, he also gains an additional 30% activation rate, so when he's below 50% HP, I believe. And that boosts the rate of all his abilities, including his crit, which will be 90% at that point. So still skills C-bait, unfortunately. And he is also a defensive support if you do decide to move him, because he can provide protection to the ally in front of him, as well as give them the skill that allows them to bestow evasion to the unit behind him, aka Barong, whenever they are hit. And he is also able to provide purification every second turn as well, on the off turns from Ardor. And he is also able to apply Reflect debuff to self and adjacent allies on base start. So he's a bit of a defensive support and an offensive support, but you do have to move him and you have to risk his HP. He does have some risk safeties, however. He does have guts at base start, so he can't just instantly die. And of course, that evasion that he gives to the ally in front of him will also protect him from big HP drops. For the most, it's only at a 90% rate when evasion is bestowed, and that can't be modified at all by any buffs. So I had tested this recently with a different unit, but for any skills that are acquired from statuses, so those pseudo skills, they aren't affected by rate activation buffs such as glint or concentration. They will always remain at that rate. I don't know if they're affected by seeding though, so that's a little bit of a mystery, but for now, just glint, concentration, that won't affect them at all. So besides Guts as a safety, he also has evasion, as I said, and weapon change to none if stationary. So even though it's supposed to be penalizing him for not moving, it also protects him from not attacking and not losing any more HP. So it's kind of like a coin flip there. And he has the unique functionality of a unit being able to remove Guts, with Guts resistance and removal whenever he idles. So this is the first time we have an ability that exclusively requires it will only be activated if he doesn't move, not if he is stationary. So you can still vary him around, but specifically if you don't choose to move him. So a bit unique there. And it's unique in that this is also the first unit we can do it. We previously had this ability tied to an AR that could be equipped to anyone. But if for some reason you don't want to bring that AR, you can just use Barong instead. And let's see what else I have here. Also, he has a pretty strong charge, but he is effectively going to be below range if he's hiding behind a unit. So you might want to consider actually bringing him to the front occasionally, whenever it's safe to do so. That is when you're pretty sure he can eliminate the enemy when he attacks, and there's no one else in range. So my recommendations for this is, of course, bring this in maps when the enemies have Guts, and move behind a tank that doesn't need to move, because generally you'll want Barong to move instead to protect himself with that evasion. And some examples would include Zhao, all of his cards, but also regular Furufumi, 4, and even Valentine can go, which is like, he doesn't have defensive buffs per se, but he has Guts that Barong can help activate. Even he would work at that point. And I would also say you can equip some healing ARs on either the unit ahead or on himself, just in effect heal Barong, because he kind of lives in this situation where 98% of the time he'll be protected from big damage, but if not, then his his Guts will go off, and then he'll just lose that Guts. So you'll want him to heal slowly as he builds it up during those turns in between, because if he gets hit twice in a row with his Guts being pierced, then he's kind of fucked. And for that same reason, I'd also say just anyone that can give him a healing buff as well as Guts would be nice, because if both fail, if evasion fails, then Guts will probably pop eventually, and if Guts pops, then you'll want to be able to reapply Guts somehow, and in the meantime you'll want to heal that as well. So what else? Yeah, as I said, you can move ahead when it's safe, you're eliminating the last enemies and there's no one else range. And he kind of struggles with his effective blow range, but we have a brand new unit that will forever make this not as nearly as big a deal, as long as you have him, that is, which is Boogeyman. So consider bringing Boogeyman. Don't put him in the front though, because then he can't activate his spell. Or you can, if he's missing up front, depending on what you want. But you can either put him a Boogeyman behind Barong or in front of him, depending on how often you want your pulls. And you may also want to extend his range by putting Yuri Tomo behind him. So those are my thoughts on Barong. Off to you guys.
My thoughts are that I find it very funny that they made it like this buffer for the person in front of him. The little Rothgar dancer is applying dance partner on the person in front of him. I just find it funny. The Final Fantasy XIV reference in this is so readily obvious, but sure. In terms of this is just a funny thing I thought about.
That
I don't have a lot of thoughts. I don't have a lot of thoughts. It's a pretty standard unit that doesn't really do anything special in my opinion.
Okay, so fun fact, before the stream, we were talking about which units we'd want to do. And Erbie said he would have rather handled Enigma over Barong. So, Enigma's like a real meme with how limited his use is, but at least it's fun to analyze how bad he is. Barong is just like there's nothing. He's boring, you know. He does things, but even when
he does things, yes.
Even when he's at his best in the most optimal quest form, it's not interesting what he does, you know. It's like, whoa, his thrust range damage, that's pretty high, amazing.
Yeah, I feel like he's just like pseudo Linan from LifeWonders, but then they locked bunch of stuff behind procs and HP conditionals. That was just like, what's the point at this rate? It was like this weird mix of Hote where you have like crit and protection, but then you now have like this debuff cleansing. It was just like, I don't know what's going on with this guy. So I was like, yeah. I mean, I think like if you use him, he'll probably be fine. It's just that I feel like he's like needlessly complicated.
I mean, honestly, that is a good comparison that I probably should have paid attention to. He does actually do like Lianon level damage buffing with both Ardor and crit. And crit being nearly guaranteed until you skill seed him, in which case it is guaranteed, provided he's under 50 HP. It is kind of awkward to bring his HP down, but he also has the benefit of, you know, actually protecting the unit in front of him as well, which is neat, and also protecting himself. So it's like, he's very Lianon adjacent in that sense, but there's a few conditions, like only every second turn goes Ardor, and like, you know, he needs to build up to the first few turns before he can do anything. And less movement in general too.
I mean, the only thing I really like is that LifeWonders is making Purification and Guts Resistance more prominent.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
I wanted to comment on that as well as just the... I'll get to it with the rest of the units too, but despite how you may feel about some of these, the middlingness of these units, it's nice that we're provided more options for what is already there that has been exclusively tied to a single unit before, or single card anyways. With Purification, it was only in Saruto Hiko before, but now we have it on Barong, and as we'll see, it's also on Israfil. And the Guts Resistance AR, or the Guts Resistance effect, used to be only on an AR, but now we have it on Barong as well. So we have more options now for what was previously only tied to. If you have this unit, that's amazing, but if you don't, then fuck you. So I think that's always good.
Thoughts again?
My thought is that I just want to move on Israfil so that I can dunk on him.
Yeah, there's nothing here. Move along.
Okay, well, very big difference with it. This is what I mean. It was like with how Erbie wanted to talk about Enigma over Barong. It's like already done this stuff. There's nothing else to say. God damn, that was fast. Anyways, I'll just read the comments now, but that's okay. Prisma. W. Barong, my simping moment is here. Hell yeah, Stripper Hrothgar. Final Fantasy 14 called. They want their ears back. Is up? Oh yeah, because they removed the ears from Hrothgar to Final Fantasy 14. Those armpits. Tazcatli Poke did it first. Hot Exotic Dancer. I gave him a large tip in form of stones. I dig his design. His teeth are dumb. They're fine, I think, because they're based on the actual Barong design. They're obviously not like practical for real life, but they are pretty accurate in terms of how they're usually designed in those like Barong costumes. Another Fire Fury. Nomad found jobless. Goddamn. Holy shit. Dancer Hroth is so true. Galaxy Brain. Note, in terms of seeds, Barong doesn't need seeds at all. Giving him HP seeds will make it harder for him to reach below 50 HP. His range sucks, and his self-limit is enough, and he already gets Glint. He doesn't have Glint, he has a great increase in self-activation rate, but it'll help because that only increases his rate by 30%, but his crit is at 60%. So if you want that to be guaranteed every time he moves, yeah, you do need to skill seed him. Because, you know, as great as Kool-Aid AR is, you're only getting 2 turns out of that, so if you're going to be using for more, then yeah, definitely consider skill seeding him, if you're actually planning to use him in Sylvianon. I'm kind of surprised I didn't realize that he did pretty much the same damage as Lianon. It just goes to show like how we're so used to it, and now we just expect a lot more on top of that. So you can save your seeds on him. He's already good without them. Well, he could benefit from attack seeds too, honestly. Patreon pull bait. Oh my gosh, I don't know. That's so true. One of the things I have a problem with this unit my main problem with this unit 1 is he's kind of boring Barong, and 2, his design is, I don't know, it feels so uninspired and kind of safe. Like, I don't know why so many people wanted to pull Barong specifically for his design. It's not novel. It's just very generic fairy design you might see in like some random Twitter porn you see. I don't know how to describe it. It's just not interesting. But yeah, moving on.
Oh, have you seen the other skin though? It's really awful.
With
The
this,
Saiyan
The one
form.
where he's wearing casual clothes.
No, the Saiyan form. The
Oh, that one. Oh, I hate it.
yeah.
I
It's even
actually
grosser, right?
like, it's kind of
You like
peculiar
that
that he
more?
changes his hair, but I actually like the mask because it's interesting. It makes him look.
It reminds me of the. It
the
reminds me
mask
of the
is-
Sonic OCs
Pardon?
Yeah.
with the weird hair.
Oh, yeah. The mask is more like mythologically accurate, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
that's what I was
the
expecting.
yellow
from Barong.
hair.
But yeah, the yellow hair is just out there. Goku, literally.
Yeah, it is Sonic OC stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't have Leanna for some reason, Barong will make do. He's pretty good, to be honest, for that replacement. Better than Mephistopheles, I'd say, anyways, as a Leanna replacer. Turing seems like the best character from the manor. We'll get there. I really love using him, which with new Licho AR, which gives CP when buffing. Is that the Furufumi Licho one? I can't remember which one, but that's the Kagutsuchi one, right? The one that you'd want for Kagutsuchi. Milk?
Yeah, I don't think it's to self though.
It should be to the left and right of them or something. Actually, it's adjacent, I'm pretty sure.
No, it's adjacent,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's to self.
Yeah,
So I don't
probably
know.
I guess that's one difference also with Barong from the end. He doesn't really give CP to the unit in front of him. But, you know, defense is a fair trade-off. I really love using him with new Licho's AR. I already read that twice because I'm an idiot. Kit-wise, he feels like Valentine Emo, but more offensive and with debuff cleansing. Movement expansion, as always, is good. So yeah, I love him. Too bad his charge is useless because he has no self-CP charge. Yeah, he's one of those units that you just have to depend on the rest of the team to get CP. So it's not impossible for him to get that charge nowadays because, you know, there's a lot of charges you can access that normally aren't accessible with all the CP options available. But if you're just throwing him in the team without thinking, yeah, he's not gonna get his charge really. Barong is very okay. Very true. Save the best for last. Hot art though. Oh, by the way, we switched the order of the last two, so the description is a bit misleading. But yeah, we're covering Israfil next and Turing the last. So it's because I only realized Erbie had to leave within 2 hours that I had to switch it.
We still have time. There wasn't a lot of problems here.
Well, that's just because I didn't expect how quickly Barong would go. But we have 40 minutes. I'd say that's kind of cutting it close for 2 units left over. We reel quite with this one. So he just special anti-guts units. Useful for farming, I think. Yeah, just remember, you already have the guts AR. But if for some reason you want even larger range and the one unit who has it isn't enough, maybe Barong would extend that range for you. Hey Ara, isn't he every harass car you dislike? As in buff Catman that instantly gets as naked as possible? For some reason around half the harass I've seen are kind of like that. It's like, you know, harass look cool design-wise and then he decides to hoard them up on Final Fantasy. It's like, bro, I don't know. It kind of like makes him look even more like a joke race that Final Fantasy shouldn't have added at that point. I really like a Barong Super Saiyan 1. Milk begs to differ, but I do like his mask. I actually like his Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan form. Licho Furu, yeah, he gets a good amount of buffs to himself, so with that AR he kind of works like a CP battery. CP battery to himself, so yeah. Let's just move on. We are done with this unit. Barong is Bardon. That didn't make sense. But yeah, we are going to be talking about Eastfield now. Covered by Erbie.
Barong is done, and here it is, the very gothic MCR Zavania. That is a limited unit in both rarities, so I figured it's best to say this because he won't be added to the general pool and we don't know when he's going to be added again. Probably not this year again at least, but we'll see how they will handle these limited units. I still don't understand why he's limited, but let's move on. Israfil is basically an infernal snipe unit that has a very unique way of moving, or so to speak. He has an increase to horizontal movement by 2, but after moving, he gains debuff that prevents him from getting, or rather, doesn't prevent him. It reduces his horizontal movement by 2. So basically, if you move him, you're not going to be able to move him as far as you could have on the second turn. Basically, his movement returns to normal after you move him, and then it goes back to an additional 2. And that's actually pretty nice for wide maps because it means he can pretty much ferry anyone to almost the edge of the map, no matter how far it is. He also has some debuffs that he applies. He applies Stigma on a 3v3 area at 90%. It's the usual skill seed bait, and has a 2.5 multiplier against Stigma. And that is actually pretty sizable, since Stigma itself already increases the damage he will deal, or rather the enemy will take. So that will make him deal a sort of significant chunk of damage by just his element and Stigma advantage. He also applies a very strange debuff to enemies on the entire board once a new phase starts, which basically, if the enemies don't move or aren't moved by other enemies, basically Christmas Pantern, the stationary thing, if the enemies remain stationary, they will take 8,008 flat damage. The problem with this is that for the enemies to stay stationary, it needs to be their turn, so this means that you're going to have to wait for the enemies to attack and to remain stationary, and then they will take the 8,000 damage, which won't be able to finish them off because it's fixed damage. So it's not really that useful, but it can be useful if you're stalling for time. And how are you going to solve for time with them? It's basically what I'm going through next, which is that he applies fear to the enemies nearby the units he hits. Basically, to the left and right of those units. But it's only 70%, unfortunately. It's basically like Daikoku's skill lock. When you move him and he becomes snipe range, and then he skill locks everyone around the units he hits. So basically with this, he should be able to stay at a safe range while eliminating potentially his column and not being completely blown up by the enemy. Why wouldn't he be blown up by the enemy? Because he applies weakness to himself at 100% rate before he's hit. So add that on top of his infernal typing means that he's probably not going to survive any hits unless you add stuff like nullify debuff on him or additional defense buffs. So he's a very frail unit, and also that can be potentially useful when you're farming wide maps and resources, because of his damage isn't that high. There are a lot of other snipe units that potentially deal more damage and more reliably at that, but the fact that he has this extra horizontal movement is incredible on its own, because it helps him ferry around, and it deals with almost all situations of turn 1 positioning complications in wide maps. Would have been better if it was 3, because that would mean he would cross the whole map, but I think 2 is good enough. Going back to his other part of his kit, he as Ara said before, he applies purification and burn resistance to allies on 2 square diamond radius around him at the start of a phase. This is more like just a bonus thing. I feel like this isn't doing anything here for him. For himself, it's just a little bonus that he can apply to his allies. I don't think it synergizes a lot with his kit, but it's there. It's probably mostly for flavor and lore. And also, after he moves, he has another 70% chance to move above two enemies in a 5x3 area in front of self. That is a very wide range of remove buff. That is essentially, if he's in the center, it's the whole enemy board at the start. But unfortunately, it is only 70%. So it's not going to work all the time. This would have been perfect actually if you could manage to get this to 100% without having to use stuff like arc and skill seeds, because it would help dealing with the enemies with guts on the Blossom farm without having to equip that AR. But sadly, it being 70% means that you can't do this, unfortunately.
Not now, anyways, but who knows? It could be possible in the future if they release a concentration to everyone on base start AR.
Who knows? But yeah, I'm not going to talk much about his CS because I feel like it is redundant. But he also does have this thing where he steals HP and CP from the enemies, but it's not really
Both
that
of them
useful.
are, yeah.
It's very low. You also don't want him to charge, I feel, because his CS is just CS lock, dazzle, and evasion. I feel like this is redundant. Sure, he can deal a lot of damage because his stigma is independent, but also I feel like it goes against what his unit is. It's a unit to help with point quests, not with big damage, all range damage, since he can't consistently build his CS, not with his 70% CP steal. Very, very small CP steal that on top of it. But yeah, that concludes all my thoughts. There aren't really a lot of ARs that he can equip that I would personally recommend. Maybe if you really want, you could use the Bale AR to get a very small boost, but I don't really think it's worth it. And yeah, that's all I have to say about this unit. I feel like, as Ara said before, is kind of like he is kind of like my replacement for Sandayu in my Blossom farms, because I did also use him a lot.
Yeah.
I don't
I didn't actually say it in the stream yet, but Sandayu really is almost virtually identical in terms of ultimate function with Israfil, because both have extended movement in the very beginning, and both inflict a debuff at a 3x3 box in front of them, and both have an advantage against one of those debuffs, Israfil being the stigma that he applies, and what's called Sandayu being the dazzle he applies along with the weakness. And they're both infernal type, and they're both column clears, so the main difference between them is just Israfil's a lot less safe, since he doesn't have evasion or guts or anything like that, and he just gets weakness, so he dies even faster. And
it also doesn't have the dazzle that Sandayu has.
Yeah, but the upshot is, at least in my opinion, I would probably would have liked Israfil instead of Sandayu, because Sandayu's Sandayu's dazzle is at 70%, so he can't really get advantage guaranteed, whereas Israfil's stigma, which he has advantage against, is at 90%. So Israfil has more consistent damage right off the bat, which is nice. And yeah. So my thoughts continue on more broadly about this is there's kind of two ways you can play with him. One is through that kind of Sandayu style tall map clearing with being able to clear columns and help the adjacent columns as well. And that's nice, but he also has the function of just kind of existing and not really doing anything else with his HP drain skill that he applies to all the enemies, as well as the rare purification and burn resistance buffs he gives to allies. So he doesn't even have to do anything technically. If you just want him for those things, he does plenty enough. And like even if he dies instantly, he already bestows that is a thing. Like it can't be unbestowed or uninflicted. So if it's like one phase and you just want to drain your HP right away, then you could just throw Israfil in even if he doesn't do anything else for the rest of the phase. And you could also like do a Kana and Tangra and eat Samus up, or any other buffer for Shuten setup to just maintain that purification and burn resistance, because they're both pretty fair right now. The only other ones that have purification is Barong and the Sorry to Hugo, and there may be reasons why you don't want to bring them, and he can also give burn resistance, which right now is only given by that Searcher AR, which actually is one of the ones he can equip, ironically enough. Does it apply to self? If it does, then it could be good on him so that he can apply it to himself here as well. If you happen to have a problem with burn for whatever reason, not usually a reason you're afraid of burn, to be honest. But yeah, I gotta say his.
Remember, I don't think it does, because I remember, or does it? Never mind. Carry on.
The AR itself is like it features sunscreen with like Anvari and Searcher, so I figure it must be both. But yeah, his HP steal is super extremely useless because he's gonna die instantly. Like who cares? Like even if he doesn't die instantly,
it's also only 300 HP anyways. So the maximum you're going to get is like 900 HP.
And the CP steal is also generally useless because if you're playing him as a column clear, then you're probably gonna want to clear it in the first turn as fast as possible, which means that it's unlikely they're gonna have any starting CP at all in the first place for him to steal in the first place. But even if that were the case, you still don't want him to charge, because at that point you want him for quick clears, just like Sanji, right? You don't want to charge, you want to clearly quick them with just regular damage. So yeah, kind of two different ways you can play with him, which is pretty neat, which is why I want Israfil. And carrying on with what I said with Barong, not Enigma, because Enigma is just Enigma, but yeah, Barong as well as Israfil seem to be carrying on, just like giving additional functions for what was previously slightly tied to one unit, which you could say, oh no, that's kind of pointless, but I say to that, now we have variety. Now it's like you won't be shit fucked if you don't have Sandayu, for example, because now you can use him instead if you don't have Christmas Nomad Kurogane. Now we have even more options for column clears like Israfil, which is nice. It's always good to have these like standard key role units having options for them rather than being stuck with Lianon. Like we were stuck with Lianon for the entire year before they decided to finally release more damage buffers after in the next new semester. And yeah, same thing for purification and burn resistance. They were just tied to like one thing before. So I appreciate Israfil's for existence, even if he doesn't like change the game fundamentally. What he does along with Barong is equalize the board in terms of prevent it from being so, single unit dependent, and just adds choices for fundamental operations of how you want to play.
I'm not sure how much better of a choice it is, but yeah, it's a choice nonetheless, I suppose.
Yo, Milk, you there? Any thoughts?
I am here. My thoughts are I hate this unit. Dagon is so much better. Oh, can't we get like 3x3 curse stigma and actual defense rather than just dying instantly? Honestly, the only reason why I'd use this unit is so that I can get like first turn board wide positioning in a wide map, and then have him die and get my sub slot member up in the team.
Yeah, that's one valid way to play with him, honestly.
I just really don't like this unit. I don't really like the 70% fear thing. The stigma is just kind of underwhelming for me. for like a 5-star limited
All right.
Ryugen unit, but I guess that's sort of expected.
I forgot to talk
I
about.
mean, he's on the same level as the Mugen units,
Yeah.
which isn't saying much. Which is
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like also they removed Zap's double, like why? But yeah.
he's worse now. So
Yeah. He's just Zap but worse, and I'm just like even like Skibo
Okay.
Zap I think is
Well, you
more
might
fun,
disagree with the
but
design,
yeah.
but I gotta say I actually find Israfil a lot more generally useful. I've already been using him a few times for the what's called the Chapter 11 Attack Seed quest, but I switched over to what's called Valor, Valentine Valor, because they both can equip the LEAR. So nice to have more options over there. I'm just using my own Sanju now instead though, but I really did wish I had Israfil because again, more consistent damage.
I do use him as well for the HP Blossom quest now because
It's only
because he-
for the +2, right?
it's for the +2 and for the Stigma because Ben 10 can't actually kill the
Yeah.
camera guys on the top without an additional buff, unfortunately. So we need a 3x3 debuff on them for my strategy, for my Christmas Ben 10 strategy to work. So
Israfil
he's actually really useful to get Itzamna right next to her and apply that debuff more so than Thunderbird, at least.
So I had my doubts when I first
Like,
saw
I
this,
see-
but yeah, in practice I've already
Yeah.
used them.
Yeah. I can see like the benefits for farming. It's just that I feel that like I just don't really like building around what's supposed to be like this really limited 5-star unit and then he just dies.
Well, again,
It's just
there's other units that he's filling the roles for. It's just nice to have one more option. I do wish I had him though because he just does more consistent damage than Sanyu. Goddamn feeling dazzle every time. If it's not 100%, it's
I'm just
0%.
thinking like in the context of like like what we've had before with Halloween Police and Last Xmas. It's just like this is like an eh. But yeah, that's all my thoughts.
For Christmas, I did want Benton. Unfortunately, I didn't get her. And Christmas Nomad ended up being better than expected after the fact because of the evasion revelation. I don't really
Yeah.
buy the hype for Halloween Police though, except for
Mhm.
maybe Azasos, but other than that, yeah, not really.
I mean, to be fair, the last 5-star snipe unit I think was much better, much better for a much better unit, so to say, which was Valentine's Arc. So I don't know, but I still use Israfil for farming quests. I think for farm quests he's fine, but
Yeah.
for general use he's not in like.
I mean,
quests
honestly, that's
and-
fine. I'd say, it seems like a boring thing to prioritize, but farming really is one of the things you'd want to have the best units for. And the fact that Eastfield is a good farming unit, like puts him really high in my books, because it's like farming is the thing you're gonna be doing for
He's a
hours.
good farming unit, but he's a good farming unit with quotation marks because it's still 90%, and
Skill C.
you're still going to need that.
Yeah.
LifeWonders release Chapter 13 farming quests and invalidate Israfil immediately.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to invalidate him, or there's going to be some other unit that's going
Well,
to do
honestly,
this better,
like
hopefully.
probably, but I would say that's likely, but just because it's, they have incentive to change how those quests will be, so that you can pull different units. They'll probably release a different AR that boosts blossoms at that point that is not equipable on infernal units per se. So I think Eastfield is good for grinding anything related to seeds, but if he's not good with blossoms, that's irrelevant at that point, I would say. I forgot to mention, but yeah, you could definitely use some sort of setup to freeze everyone in place to actually exploit that F stationary effect. That fear is not really the best solution because he has to hit units adjacent, and it's not the unit he hits exactly, and yeah, it's kind of a mess. So you might want to do something like, I don't know, freeze everyone in place with a turn 1 charge with Gumaur, or even
I feel like that's completely pointless. because all you're getting is
Yeah, I know.
8,000
It's
threat damage.
sufficient.
I mean, if even as Milk said, even Zabania's forms are better at doing this. Fashionista Zabania's skill evolution already takes 20,000 for the units it hits them. I feel like 8,000 is weak for something that needs to wait for the enemy to attack or miss.
That's a fair point, honestly. So there's a strategy around it, but maybe it's not the best strategy for doing the end effect, anyways. With that said, it's nice that he's good for tall maps, but also feasibly possibly good for wide maps and large maps as well, with that remove buff or gut shenanigans. If only it really was, like guaranteed. But what can we do? But yeah, those are my thoughts, and I think we should read out the comments now because we only have 20 minutes left for Turing, and I'd like you to actually talk about it too. So.
No more thoughts? Okay.
Let's read the Zaddy comments.
Yeah, Zaddy's the first comment. Where you read?
Where is it? Zaddy? Okay, sure. Emo Daddy. Oh no, it's Anobi. Oh no, it's him. Zav Zaddy. My dumb Zad. The worst Zav. So true. Israfil, leave me alone. We can share read to Hey Emo Boy. Hey Emo Boy. Zabania Alter. Yes, dumb Zav. I dig his design so much. The darker skin tone with black and gold has no right to be as sexy as it is. It's the ab window for me. What?
I do like the color scheme of black and gold a lot.
I feel like I'm reading the wiki comments. It's the ab window for me. Yo, dude, is that B-face? The possessing Zavi thing I don't like, but this is what we must endure for more Zabania content. Insert Lisa Simpson's meme about they are the same but with the stupid hat. Would oppression debuff users, for example Daikoku at the start of the map, go well with Israfil? I mean, even Daikoku's oppression is only every 2 turns. So, but yeah, it could be useful if you're really looking for that stationary thing. Yeah. He's decent at least, I just suck at using him. Yes, so we know you got him. Yes. I didn't get Timritu. FGO called. They want Emiya back. Why does he have so many 70% rates? Because we have Valentine Arc now, so everything is
no
allowed.
Remember when everything like 90% was worse? Now it's just 70%. God damn it.
Yes. Thank you, Valentine Arc. Now the rates can go even lower than the norm because of you. He avoided me even his 3-star. Oh, you're one of us then. Hug. Can I trade my Israfil for Turing dupes? Sure. I don't even know why you do that. He wants to be seated, Harv. It's Harvey, my arch enemy. Rosa. I got his 3-star, and that's the last time I roll. Yeah, I do recommend people at least roll his 3-star, at least to unlock his quests, even if you don't care about him. Who knows? Who knows how much content they're going to give him? I don't think he's ever going to be relevant once Chapter 13 ends, but we'll see.
We'll see.
His CS is okay since it lets him actually move up the board to apply his stuff on max range and not die amount. Yeah, but you need to charge him. No, is he can be used for newbies to clear the main story?
If
I
you
don't actually
build
recommend
properly, but newbies probably want something
Just
safer.
use Valentine Kango or something. Just
yeah,
don't use the unit that dies instantly.
Yeah. This feels like a recipe for disaster to use him as a newbie. What if I just want him in my house? By the way, nice stream. Would not recommend for beginners. Yes. If you want to use him, you can. Dream on. Make him seal 1,000. Too bad. Waiting Turing review. Then if it's worth to roll, it's fine. It's not worth to roll in this banner at all. I can tell you that much. Might be
Three-star
fun with the
Israfil, though.
league comp. What?
3-star Israfil though.
I mean, yeah, if you really want, but come on, it's not worth it for the kids if you're searching for the kids. Unfortunately, I have neither 5. So, oh, shame. I may be a beginner, but I'm going to roll his 5-star. He even gets one tapped super easily for your convenience. Perfect. Perfect synergy right there with leads. I didn't even think about it.
Amazing. That's actually good.
Just
does he even actually? Never mind. He doesn't even have any buffs he'd want.
Dies. He doesn't. I think that's it.
If you just want to remove all the enemies buffs, though, I guess so.
Israfil is playable. I might try to get his 3-star. He's got a killer smile. That's the face you look at while he breaks both your arms. Prisma, a small donation for Israfil.
Israfil, thanks you for your small donation, Prisma. Thank you very much.
If you love a unit, you will find a way to build around them. J Coffee. Oh my god, appreciation to my Domzav. Very true, I say that as a Zabi face simp, but I do think it just applies to everyone in this game. And I'd be thankful for that, Harv. It's for Arathun to get him. Him being easily KO'd means Kuma strats. Yay. Anyway, I love his aesthetics, but I hate that toothy grin he has. Why are his teeth so long? I don't know, because he's very quirky, I guess. I know, but any donation to my Dom Zab is always a great thing. We are sharing, Mitsu. No, don't pull for Israfil when Perrin is so sexy, haha. I mean, he's probably going to have a better kit, unless he's going to be like a limited Mugen-like unit. God, I hope not. You have your Tanukis though, what do you mean? Anyway, I don't largely care about his performance, I'm just happy to have him. That's fine. Perun, his 3-star anyway. Israfil can have a good kit, but that doesn't mean I want to use him. So true. Did I come in at the end of the stream again? There's still one unit left hidden. Just Turing to finish the stream. I'm just here for their ASMR voices. Eizengao. So basically, missed the stream. Rest in peace. I mean, I think Turing has a lot to talk about. But I think we still have a lot to talk about Turing.
Are you able to stay for
Even
that
though
long?
I still think he's kind of... Nah. What?
We have like 30 minutes
What did you
before
say,
it's 2 p.m. It's almost been 2 hours since the stream started, so I was just wondering if you had enough time for Turing.
I still have 10 minutes, 13 minutes. Well, and the comments are ending. There's only one more. Yo, Stigma with Israfil, then he gets killed. Then you bring Fire Kuma with his when appearing damage buff. Spam viable Kuma. I mean, Kuma's already pretty viable.
Sorry to burst your bubble, but Kuma only gets
like
those buffs if he enters on turn 2. So if Israfil dies immediately on turn 1, Kuma's not getting those buffs.
Yeah, that too. Even still, I think Kuma can be used outside of that particular scenario.
Yeah, I'm actually attacking him because I'm running units, and
face.
he's a good grind unit as well. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Crit. Anyway, let's...
That is old.
That is it for this. Let's hurry so that maybe Erbie can say something about Turing before he disappears into the ether. So we will now be covering Turing as covered by Milk Housamo. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so I'll just be covering Turing's 5-star unit. Turing's 5-star unit, I guess, is kind of similar to Soul, if you know about Soul, in that he first applies removal of defensive buffs, and also now, newly, he also removes buffs related to debuff mitigation, so that's Reflect debuff and Nullify debuff, and 80% rate. He also has this Poison Weakening, which gives him more flat damage when he gets poisoned, but that's irrelevant. The meat of his kit is in his second skill with this Logic Bomb. So at the end of every move phase, he applies a Logic Bomb 2 squares in front of him to an enemy. And this logic bomb has a flat 50% chance of going off, of detonating, and when it detonates, it gives minus 15k HP in a pretty big range. It's a diamond range with 3 square radius. It applies remove buff, and it also applies break. So it's a very debilitating effect for the enemies. The way you try to activate this logic bomb is through attacking the enemy, because the timing is before being hit. So units with combo, having a lot of units attack the same unit with logic bomb, make the rate more decent enough. Like, you can use people like McCroy or Festival Licho, for example. So those are some examples. In his third skill, we get a new status called Confusion, which limits the enemy's horizontal movement when after the enemy hits him. And there's this flat HP when the enemy attacks, but that's sort of irrelevant. And he also applies weakness to the enemies he hits. So basically, together with his weakness and break from the logic bomb, and the fact that he's removing all defensive buffs, Turing can do around like 6.8k damage due to the weakness and break just by himself. And you have the flat damage from minus 15k HP. This is assuming that the logic bomb goes off. And last of all, we have evasion for phase start, which is really good for Turing, and a turn start glint at 70%, which makes his activation rates much better. Okay, so what do I have to say about this unit? So as you can kind of see that he's like he's basically an offensive support. Basically, he's there to ensure that your damage dealers do more damage through hopefully getting break and him applying weakness to enemies. I have some thoughts about remove defensive buffs. Is that for challenge quests, this isn't really that useful, because a lot of challenge quests nowadays just have enemies that have like an irremovable defensive buff. Like the last Valentine CQ had Ballor with a stack of defensive buffs, but in my opinion, most of the time it's just like some irremovable 0.3. So this remove defensive buffs can be useful, but it's not going to be useful all the time. Debuff mitigation resistance is somewhat niche. The only scenario that I can think of where this is really helpful is when there's an enemy Tezcatli Polka, but yeah. And I want to talk about this logic bomb, because before being hit is somewhat of a weird timing. People might not know this, but before being hit applies basically before the person attacks. So what that means is that before being hit applies before the attack happens to any unit on the field, if the unit is within the attack range. So basically what that means is that if Turing were to attack somebody with logic bomb in like and there's like on a full board in his magic range, the logic bomb would go off first, and then the attack from Turing would happen. So you would see that minus 15k HP and break happen to everybody before you see Turing attack. So that's how this timing works. I think it's more obvious if you play around with it in game, but that's how it works. I don't really like how it's a 50% rate, and as Ara mentioned before, you can't really boost this 50% because neither your like glint concentration, prayer, whatever affects this 50% rate, nor the enemy's glint concentration, prayer, whatever. So you're stuck with this 50%. So this is kind of like a bad unit for farming, because you don't want to depend on
A coin flip.
RNG for farming.
A coin flip.
Did you say something?
Yeah, you don't want to depend on a coin flip.
Yeah. Like, it's bad enough, like, trying to pray that the ether mobster doesn't give evasion. So don't try to depend on this 50%. But in challenge quests, where you're attacking an enemy a bunch of times, yeah, this could be useful. I kind of like this kit with stall strategies, because you're basically getting a free 15k HP per turn if you hit the enemy enough. And you can apply the logic bomb to different people, because this debuff lasts for 3 turns. So you can like stack it all at once. Not sure why you would do that, but yeah.
You can't stack multiple logic bombs on a single person.
Yeah, not stack on a single person, but like, stack on, like, put on various enemies so that the effects happen all in one turn. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably want to do that
Yeah.
just in case if it didn't activate from the previous turn. So you still have both.
Yeah, so I kind of see this as like, I kind of see Turing as somewhat being in between of like, you can either use him with like a stall strategy where you aren't doing much damage in the first place, or just like praying that this logic bomb goes off and you get the damage. Yeah. So I think he's actually the most straightforward, other than, I don't know about the most straightforward. I think he's rather straightforward, but I don't really like these RNG elements. And that's basically all I have to say about him.
Okay.
Recommended ARs, actually, you can equip the Kashi Labe AR. That's pretty much it, I think, that I thought was good.
Okay, Erbie, add your thing before you have to go. Erbie, you there? Oi, Moshi Bosh! Oh my god, Erbie died.
Also, the CS is really good.
I was muted. Whoops. But yeah, what I was saying is that, yeah, as Milka said before, 50% for Logic Bomb, and I feel like his Logic Bomb is like his entire kit. So having just 50%, because yeah, sure, he has weakness, but weakness is pretty common, and sure, he has removed defensive buffs and the debuff mitigation removal as well, but that's not really that useful, at least from my experience. It's not really that useful. It's honestly easier to just use units that bestow this defense penetration and stuff like that, than to have a fixed range for where you'll be able to penetrate defense. Something like the AR that allows you to deal extra damage against these statuses, or the Aparga in Arsalan AR, or like Christmas Nomad that bestows that buff that helps you penetrate the defensive buffs. I feel like that's a lot more generally useful than this, because this requires this unit to attack first, and it requires the subsequent units to attack afterwards and on the same tiles as this unit has attacked. So it's very very not useful. The Logic Bomb, however, is useful, but as I said before, it's 50% chance. I don't think it's very worth to rely on this Logic Bomb, but hey, it's flat damage memes. Sure, why not? Personally, I wouldn't ever try to work around this, even if I had Turing 5 for a challenge quest, because my god, the resets that I'd have to do, I no thanks. And that is my thoughts on this unit. I think he's pretty okay-ish, probably the one that you can use better, as Milk said before, in this banner, but that's not saying much when all the units are pretty meh.
Yeah, I think like, if you think about Turing just like ignoring the remove defensive buffs, remove nullify debuff stuff, like what it comes down to is like weakness with a chance of break and flat damage. And if you think about, like, compare it to like last year where we had like Yoritomo and Tindalos in New Semester, where they applied like 2 offensive buffs, I can kind of see what like LifeWonders is doing, right? Like you have 2 defensive debuffs. But like 2 defensive debuffs is usually worse than 2 offensive buffs. But it's an option, I guess. So, yeah. I think he's like the best on the banner, but he's still just only okay-ish because of this RNG.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts, Ara?
I do, but I was waiting for Erbie. Do you have to go now, Erbie? Just asking, or can you stay a bit longer?
Oh yeah, it's
So a bit
time now.
longer.
Okay. Well, then I will try to make it quick so I can hear. I think you guys are underselling his ability to be an anti-tank. We never really had an anti-tank before. At best, we had Soul, which was limited and in Efkari. So it's nice that Turing is permanent. We have more options. Again, building on top of getting more options.
I mean, Christmas Nomad made everyone an anti-tank.
Yeah, but he had to move. The thing that makes Turing good is you don't have to move him. So you could feasibly do anti.
But that's not a good thing because it's a fixed location, fixed squares. I don't think that's a good thing.
I know it doesn't seem like a good thing, but
just my
it's
opinion.
like you still have to move in order to apply it, right? So the fact that you don't have to move with Turing means that you can like destroy all the defenses if you have Turing. Now, obviously, I agree with you if it's on support. Turing's useless on support. But if you do happen to have Turing, then he's quite good as an anti-tank. You could put him in slot 1, and then since it's magic range, you could even attack from the side or directly in your own column. And then you can, use someone like who does depend on moving, like Barong or Lianin, to actually hyper boost your damage dealer to a completely exposed unit. And I feel that being able to mitigate all debuff, remove all debuff mitigation is a really strong effect too, because even though it's, as Milk said, it's pretty much just Tiscali Polka. Let me tell you, those Tiscali Polkas are infamous for everyone because Reflect debuff is actually really cancer to face. Like you try to face it and it just keeps on getting worse for your own team because your best way to handle enemies is usually buffing your own team, or debuffing them, and that just ends up blowing up in your face as a result. And it'll make, for people who are starting off and completing the main scenario quest, chapter 10, they could have definitely used Turing. Turing definitely would have been like a #1 recognition for the Tiscali Polka quest where he did that bullshit of constantly inflicting reflect debuff while you're trying to hit the mirror behind him. And anytime in the future they decide to do reflect debuff or, God forbid, like stackable reflect debuff, Turing will be up there as a #1 pick for sure. Just removing both completely and entirely, exposing them. Again, it's really unfortunate if you don't have it because he's pretty much worthless as support. But yeah, I don't even want to talk about Logic Bomb because that's just like 50%. It's a bonus. It's the flashiest, but honestly, it's not the reason why you'd want to use it for most cases. The reason why you'd want to use him for most cases is his anti-tank function, and I think it's pretty damn good.
I agree about the anti-tank thing. It's just that tanks aren't really an issue in the game. It's more so like high HP pools and like really an irremovable defense, in my opinion. So that's why I was just kind of like on him.
I mean, it depends on quest. Because like I like Turing because in addition to giving you more options,
I've never seen someone use Soul basically. Like everybody else just uses like 8 to 4.
Soul. No, Erbie used Soul. Soul's problem was also he had kind of crap personal damage. At least Turing has guaranteed weakness, which is pretty cool. Like no one's really had guaranteed weakness like this before. Had a super large range at that.
You know who the true anti-tank is? It's Alice, 4-star.
Okay, I know you were about to say that, and yes, but also you need to move her, which is you miss out on a lot of damage potential. So I really do think Turing's big gambit here really is being able to not move while being an anti-tank. And for the same reason, you may also want to pair him up with someone like Shinya with his Evo to remove the damage buffs as well. And then
Shinya is not happening ever.
Yeah, Shinya is.
Okay, I know it's not as much of a threat, but if you really want to remove all their debuffs without wasting your move on them, then yeah, you can combine them. But yeah, other than that, definitely a pick to look out for just anti-tanking in general. And obviously, as you say, it's not going to be useful for most quests, but for the ones where it will be useful, it's like, Turing will shine because those quests are extremely annoying in particular. And
Yeah.
stalling, what's it called? There's also the confusion meme, which you might want to combine it with craziness for like pseudo fear restriction with Jurong. That's just a side thought. I really do think his main usage that you want to consider is just his anti-tank function. The logic bomb is just a red herring. Ignore that. You'll want to use Turing just mainly for his anti-tank function.
I don't think the logic bomb is a red herring because testing him out, I think it's pretty consistent to get it off every turn. Yeah, because like you have multiple like hits, so it's not like too bad. But yeah, I should also try to emphasize again how strong the CS is because I glanced over it quickly. But it's remove all buffs to enemies, a skill lock, and it gives concentration to everybody. So this is a really strong CS if you can get it off, but he doesn't really have any CP generation mechanisms.
Well, it's a good thing he doesn't need to move.
Yeah, go figure.
So yeah, you can pair him with like a CP, like a move-dependent CP battery. So again, I really do. It's quite a good thing that he can just do all those things without needing to move. But yes, otherwise you can use Alice. I'm not denying that, but Turing has a place.
And you can use Alice with Shalano for extra damage. I was actually surprised how much damage she can deal with that crit and the dazzle attack. Yeah.
I mean,
actually pretty surprising.
There's also Fushi, right? Or no?
Fushi what?
Fushi would work.
Did you have Fushi in the Alice thing?
No, I had Yoritomo, I think.
I mean, Fushi would he would actually help more because she cannot even remove the oppression, which might be annoying.
No, I meant like the non-obstruct weakening thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant obstruct, not oppression. But yeah, she can remove that too. So
okay.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that said, Turing good as a non-moving anti-tank for sure, and which really adds to his role as you described it. What's it called? Offensive support, because you can move someone who can hyper buff someone. Anyways, I'm kind of going in circles now, so you can read out the comments.
Yes, King Turing. Apple, apple, crown, crown, crown. Love him. The only femboy we have. Yes, finally the British guy. Ah yes, remove debuff.
Wait a minute.
What?
What's up?
Aren't we doing Tanitomo Erasure or something?
Tanitomo Erasure?
You mean the femboy thing? Yeah, I guess so.
Oh.
Tanitomo Erasure is real.
Bara Teddy Bear Maker. Enigma is not a bear. I actually like the logic bomb, but not that flat 50% popping off. Oh right.
Well,
when I say Enigma is not a bear, I'm joking. Yeah, he's supposed to be a bear, but I don't think he looks like a bear. His bomb is really OP. Usually you would have to worry about missing, but you can just bring someone like Ben 10. Boycott Xmas Ben 10. Turing destroys you with facts and logic. I guess so. So glad he has confusion resist. That's gonna be helpful against all the enemies with confusion right now. You can use him with weak damage units like Fushi so the enemy doesn't die, and you can attack it again with Turing or another unit. Also Fushi debuff pairing with Turing's debuff for some sweet damage. Yeah, I guess so. Well, I wouldn't say extremely OP, but it's 100% useful for getting rid of the mobs / etc. in the area, so you can worry about the main problem. I mean it's just weakness and break, so yeah. You mean the flat damage. Yeah, it's pretty good for that. Can debuff reflect affect logic bomb? I got traumatized by Tez. Logic bomb is irremovable, so no. It will not reflect the logic bomb itself, but it could reflect the break, but the break would reflect to the person itself because it's an enemy skill, technically. So basically, you will not get break from the logic bomb. It reflects debuff. His skill lock on CS actually turns off logic bomb, which is pretty funny.
Is that true?
Yeah, I need to test that.
I don't think
I need
that would
to test
be true.
that.
What's that called? Statuses should always
the rate
work,
boosters
right?
don't change.
I'm pretty sure statuses
The
should
rate
always
boosters
work.
don't change. But then I'm thinking about like the Valentine CQ where you skill walked them and they didn't leave, but I don't know if that was the skill or the status itself. Yeah. But I don't know if this is true about the skill walking and Logic Bomb. Anyways, it really Anyways, you still have a coin flip because it's before being hit. So nobody actually got hit yet. So you can get the Logic Bomb in CS happen even if this is true. Okay. Not gonna lie, when I read this kit, I'm just like, Night Glow's Kurogane is quaking. I actually thought that too, but then I saw the flat 50% and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is worse. Boy, he can remove the effects of Tez and Kamui's bounce Pex debuff. Did Kamui have that?
Yeah, he did.
I guess?
His 5-star had the Evo, which let him have both Nullify and Reflect debuff, which makes him such a strong tank, but for some reason he doesn't get too much use. I guess it's because he needs constantly to do it.
Well, I guess it's just that tanks kind of suck in general, but yeah. Yes, more RNG in a gacha. I love RNG gacha. Turing. This banner is a bunch of characters from other games. I kind of felt like that was what was said before, but I don't remember. Maybe last new semester. Turing's Logic Bomb came from Genshin Impact's Wish mechanic. I don't really know this reference, but sure. Turing from Genshin Impact, Enigma from Yu-Gi-Oh!, Barong from Final Fantasy XIV, and Israfil from A Mayday Parade. I don't know the last one. Ayo. When you want to collab but can't collab. Yeah. Square Enix should sue LifeWonders or Barong. The difference between him and Yori and Tindos is technically he has no detriment to your team other than mediocre Logic Bomb rates. He doesn't kill your team or reduce their CP, etc. So that's probably why his value curve is a bit lower, because he's technically a safer character IMO. Yeah, technically he doesn't really have a detriment, but I think the fact that the weakness is locked to a magic range is pretty bad. And that's why I said that 2 offensive buffs is better than 2 defensive debuffs usually. But it's synergizes with the offensive buffs. So you could just use both. Still funny how Turing is the machine killer. Imagine being a metal sturdy wall giant robot just for a British kid come and end your whole carrier. Yeah. Funnily enough, Turing has 8k HP and Enigma has 5k. So that's kind of sad. Jer, LMAO. He's so dapper. Oh boy, can't wait to fight all the units with Mecha Man. Crafter's Challenge Quest is your place to go. Lolo. Soul is my FKari husbando, and the 3-5 off-banner incident happened. Crying face. Only got their 3-star versions. How does combo work with Logic Bomb? Okay, so Logic Bomb, the way Logic Bomb works is that before an enemy gets hit, you have a 50% chance of the Logic Bomb detonating. Combo, your units attack twice. So if your units attack twice, that's 2 chances of the Logic Bomb detonating.
So effectively 75%.
Yeah. So is it 2 separate instances of the before attack trigger? Yes, because combo means your units attack
it's
twice.
2 chances for rolling for it. I'm surprised we didn't mention this, but actually we didn't. Alex, I don't remember. Once it goes off, that's it. Logic Bomb resistance is applied and you can't apply it again, so that's it. It doesn't go off twice.
Yeah, so this resistance means that it's an actual bomb, in the sense that once it goes off, it doesn't reapply. What I mean is that since you're dealing with coin flip RNG, you want to ensure that it does detonate. Okay. Isn't combo only works on attacks, not debuffs? Yeah, so I explained it, so you can listen to that. So he technically give Logic Bomb and then activate it himself if he has combo. No, he can actually activate it himself even without combo, because the Logic Bomb is placed at the end of the move phase. So yeah. Why not just use Goemon to spread the weakness? Because Goemon usually just spreads it, obstruct. So he's kind of shitty there.
God damn it. Such a terrible a thing in his kit that is eating into his main feature. I hate it.
And then both applied logic bomb doesn't pop off lulls the top. Yeah. Yeah, I tried it and there's like a couple of times where it just didn't go off, but most of the time it goes off with like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hits. So yeah, it's not that inconsistent, but if you're farming, you don't want to deal with that.
Alright.
Okay, that's all the comments so far, I think.
Sure. Any other thoughts, Erbie, before we close off this discussion? Erbie!
Wait for part 2.
Bomb is gonna save us with
Alright.
Perun.
Alright, fine. I guess we're just talking about the summary now.
Part 2, this banner, this shit.
Alright.
Oh.
So, let us talk about the thoughts on this banner. Even though we talked about each unit, I'd like to hear your overall thoughts on this campaign as well as the Part 1 units.
It is bad. The units and the campaign. We essentially had three weeks of coin farming, and now we have more farming of quests, of seed quests and coins if you want now on the weekend. The farming never ends. I feel like we should have had a rerun here or somewhere, because this is just getting ridiculous.
I think they did something similar last year during that coin campaign, but yeah, it seems that, I don't know, they're putting all these save all your stamina drinks to grind all like once a year now, combining it all at this period, which is kind of annoying and really demotivating in many ways.
I feel like Jamboree rerun got cancelled just from the fact that we have a Zhao Shuten AR, and like that was supposed to be like the shop AR, but they just like didn't have their stuff together, so they just did that instead of like an actual rerun.
Yeah, because we all know Jamboree is more likely to reprint than Fashionista at this point. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean it has its like thing translated, like the title thing.
Wait,
Like,
so
it's-
Fashionista not translated yet?
eventually.
So, that's funny.
Yeah, Fashionista's title isn't translated, but Jamboree has like "Let's Go Jamboree" or something. So
Ooh,
yeah,
gotta check that out there.
and like the memories. My thoughts on this banner is basically the same as Erbie, like awful kits, awful design. Well, it's not really awful, but it's like
I mean,
whatever.
I can agree with
And-
Enigma for the most. I do think that darkness thing is nice to have, but if that's his entire thing, obviously not something that I would have been happy to wait for the entire year, because new semester really is like Christmas to me, and this time we kind of received coal when it came to Enigma. But for the other units, I'm happy where they are in terms of they don't necessarily put it at like power creep the game even further to like an acceptable level, but they just provide more options for very important choices like guts removal or tall map grinding. So
I
can
think they're
appreciate that.
options. I think they're just worse options.
Do you think
Like,
they're?
yeah.
I think they're about equal. Like the
yeah, I
thing
think
is,
they're worse.
it's good to have. I want Israfil over what's called Sandio straight up. So I would disagree just on that point.
Okay.
But there's also like Barong is kind of silly in terms of you could just use the guts AR, but the guts removal AR, like unless you're using something like Ben 10, wouldn't apply to everyone in the first place. So at least if you could use like Barong to extend your range of guts removal. So that's another consideration to have. And I really don't like using Saru Tahiko, since that's pretty much the only reason you want to bring this purification. So it's nice to have a couple more options, which actually do additional things into that between Barong and.
I don't know. I feel like purification fits better Sarutahiko's kit than Israfil, to be honest, because Israfil is nothing about support, and Sarutahiko is all about support.
I mean,
I mean,
thing is,
Sarutahiko has like
I don't even remember. what it
ardor
does.
and nourishment strengthening. Right?
Yeah,
he has like two
ardor
effects.
and nourishment strength. Yeah.
And Israfil has stigma. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like
I'm the
Yeah.
kind of cheesy person who likes these buffs enough that I'll just con and tangro it, which makes me think, I don't mind Easterfield dying instantly because it's a feature. I can just get another unit to steal buffs from right after from the back row. But Sarutahiko, I don't know. It kind of just exists for me.
Anyways, I'm gonna pray that Bomb saves us in part 2 with Kurogane.
Please.
And like their kit is good.
Yeah, let's hope for
Please
redemption
save
and
us.
it's not just copium. Any other thoughts, Erbie, before I write the comments and close the stream?
Don't pull on this banner unless you really like their designs.
Israfil 3.
That's my thoughts.
Israfil 3.
Oh, and if you want to unlock exclusive Israfil Valentine quests,
What was
even
it?
though he's going to be forgotten as soon as chapter 13 ends.
Exactly, very important.
I didn't pull for Israfil like no matter what. Like I thought about it and I was like, do I really want to see his Valentine's quest? And I thought no. So yeah.
Be me and
I mean the new will annoy me, but I don't want it.
For the promise of a level quest that refunds me 1 stone.
Oh boy.
What was the last comment we read? I've been marking all this time except for this time.
Yeah, because I feel like these Mugen, well, Israfil isn't a Mugen character, but he's being treated as a Mugen character. But I feel like these units aren't as worth having as the other limited units we had, because those other limited units actually have a chance of appearing in the future again and have something relevant to say. These ones don't. These ones, as soon as they're out, they're never going to be relevant again.
Yeah. We left off at Oh, I Was Mistaken from Hidden.
That is true. Mistaken.
So was thinking that logic was given before attack.
God, am I blind? I can't see it.
You have to scroll up a bit. How about like saying?
Oh, I see it. Yes,
why
I
not
see it.
just
I
use
see it.
flame
Okay,
on
sorry,
Shuten?
that was awkward, but yeah, I see it. Thank you. Was thinking that logic was given before. So, is the 50% chance for the bomb or the skill? It is the skill that is inflicted, which is the bomb.
Skill.
Yeah. So yeah. Dom Zabania supremacy. Better than Sandayu, I'd say, at least for my purposes. But yeah, I've already used Israfil a lot more than Zabania in my entire lifetime of playing this game. Turing has shit taste considering he made Enigma. Did he actually make it in Housamo? Because in real life, Turing didn't make Enigma, rather
Yeah,
he
it's
was
supposed
the one
to
who cracked
parallel.
it. Because Enigma
It's
cracked.
supposed to like parallel. But yeah.
It would be like kind of the opposite in
Yeah.
that case, because Turing invented, he cracked the Enigma, which is, made by the Nazi
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, it's a bit complicated in the main quest, but it's kind of like he made him. So yeah.
Okay, we'll just run with that. 50% for the bomb to go off. I only like my Zabania Sama. Maybe expand your tastes, but OMG, I finally get to watch the stream till the end. Yeah, congrats. Actually, I'm pretty sure you're new, so this might be your first one too. Well, maybe I just don't remember you. Sorry if that's the case. Wow. Speaking of Enigma, I'm so sad I missed the discussion. I need to shield Halloween Alice as much as possible. Don't worry, I think it was Erbie who shielded, and then Milk who added this stuff about some magic change. Rude Harvey. It was a good stream. I hope I get Piran if he is in a new semester banner to wish me luck, guys. Yeah, wish you luck for sure. Barong seems like the worst from the banner, one tap having S. Well, I thought so too, and I thought he was boring, but that tasking comment from Milk really was like, yeah, I guess he is like Lianen. And if he's like Lianen, then honestly he can't be that bad. Give me Jamboree, Angry Face. I need Jamboree and Mori. They do need some evils, I think. The Jamboree rerun was the friends being made along the way. I just want my Zabania summon. Cry, Suga! Milk should be added to the end card. I'm not the artist of this. If anyone among you know how to draw art, I would be happy to accept it and put it in the end case. This one, I didn't even request it. It's just someone happened to draw it and then they shared it, and I was like, whoa, we have fan art. That was so surprising. But I do agree that Milk should be definitely rendered here too. A random polar bear. Yes, because I don't know, Milk's favorite Housamo character. Yes, by the way, Enigma is a polar bear, if you guys were wondering. Supposedly, I thought he's like a dog or a panther or something. Gunzo probably, gay ass, Gunhu. Ada, Erbie, Milk, and AR card, lol. Unfortunately, maybe you'd be asking a bit too much to have every permutation of Among Us. Sus. Father of computers, yeah. That is Turing. They really logic bombed this. Alright. 50% chance you might want to pull for it for sure. Enigma is a bear? Yeah, can you believe it? A very malnutrition one, but yeah. And you can tell that Enigma isn't because of his lack of a tail. He really do be Wolfie Canon days. I'm gonna pretend I just had an aneurysm there and move on. Hello again, and time for the ending. Welcome, welcome. And design. Yes, alright, that is all the comments. And Erbie, do you not have a static to attend to? Let's just close the stream off so that we don't hold you up any longer. Thank you for joining, everyone. We shall be covering part 2 probably next week if the banner comes out this in the next few days, but if not, then the week after. Look forward to it, and happy grinding, everyone, I guess. But yeah. Alright, guys, let's say our buys in on 3. Alright? 1, 2, 3. Bye.
Bye.
Where's the energy? Okay, see you guys.
Huh?
The energy was lost at Valentine's.